Well, hello everyone. Let's make sure that my audio's all working and everything. Looks that way. Let's see if everybody's hearing me out in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and wait for a minute to have some response on that. And we're going to have a look at a master class today on how to handle Flerfs. And this is done by Will Duffy, who was the leader of the final experiment. And he's debating Nathan Thompson over on Modern Day Debate. Now, prior to the debate, they agreed on topics. Specifically, Will was making the claim that the final debate had destroyed the flat Earth, and Nathan's job was to show that it didn't, and that flat Earth was still compatible. So let's go ahead and looks like we've got good sound. How's everybody doing today? Everything going well out there? I've been working, I've got a couple of tests coming up this week in math and physics, and I also started teaching on Varsity Tutors, doing some physics and math education there. So I was kind of learning a little bit. So let's see, what else do we have? Oh yeah, we have these Lytmi earphones that I'm using right now to monitor the stream. These are really nice earphones. I got these things sent to me a week or two ago, and wanted me to try them out and see how they worked out on the stream. And so far, they've been working very nicely for a $40 headset. You know, to be honest with you, I'm getting pretty good audio quality with them. They're not my what I keep saying iPods, but you know the little Apple earphones that I have. For some strange reason, I can't seem to remember the name of those things. I'll think about it in a minute. But in any event, what I did was I went ahead and I recorded the entire debate, and I basically got the 40 minutes that really was of interest, which is Nathan Thompson and Will Duffy talking. And we're going to go ahead and play that. I cut out a lot of the fluff that was in between them. And I also fast forwarded a little bit through some of it just because it really wasn't contributing to the debate itself. So let's have a quick listen and see what we have. AirPods, that's it. I keep thinking iPods, but it was AirPods. Yeah, appreciate that. I'm just having a boomer moment here for the name of that damn thing. So in any event, let's go ahead and get me out of here. I'm going to make myself a lot smaller. Let's see if I can do that. Let's come down here into the corner. How about like that? And then let's go ahead and have a listen to Will and Nathan.
Okay, ready to go. Awesome. Our debate proposition is, did the final experiment end flat Earth? I will be defending the affirmative that yes, the final experiment of 2024 ended flat Earth. My opponent, Nathan Thompson, will be taking up the negative and attempting to argue that a flat Earth is possible despite the numerous observations and experiments we conducted while in Antarctica and Chile. I need to point out here that Nathan Thompson was told that since I am the creator of the final experiment, I'm only interested in debating TFE. And most importantly, our debate is over whether or not the final experiment has ended flat Earth, which means our debate has nothing to do with the globe or the globe model. Our debate proposition is not, did the final experiment prove the globe? No, it's did the final experiment end flat Earth? So I will be arguing that the final experiment trip and accompanying experiments and observations are not possible on a flat Earth, and therefore TFE has ended flat Earth. And it will be Nathan's role to argue that TFE's experiments and observations are possible on a flat stationary plane, and that flat Earth has survived. Now, if Nathan goes off topic and talks about the globe, I will hold up this globe to remind the audience that he is no longer debating the topic that we agreed to ahead of time. And I will bring the debate back to our agreed upon topic and refuse to allow him to deflect in this manner. If Nathan decides to keep evading our mutually agreed upon topic, that should send a very clear message to everyone watching that he is unable to reconcile TFE's observations and data with a flat Earth. When I created the final experiment, I set out to end the debate over the shape of the Earth. And I believe TFE has been incredibly successful in this regard. As evidence of this, there is currently a major exodus out of flat Earth, starting with Amarel from Canada, who was one of the first Patreon supporters of Eric Dubé. He saw the writing on the wall when Eric Dubé did not share his excitement about TFE going to Antarctica. Eric Dubé said for years that there is never a 24-hour sun at any time in Antarctica. Dubé also correctly asserted that the heliocentric globe model must have a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. Yet Eric Dubé did not think it was a good idea to travel to Antarctica to see which side was correct. And he even turned down an offer to have his trip to Antarctica paid for by a glober named Mark Harmon. Next is Jaron Campanella from the YouTube channel Jaronism. Jaron was one of the fortunate flat earthers who received a trip to Antarctica on my dime. And Jaron not only saw the 24-hour sun with his own eyes, but was also honest enough to admit that he had been wrong about the 24-hour sun and therefore wrong about flat Earth. Next is Alex Stein. Primetime 99 Alex Stein has been in the flat Earth community for a very long time, including participating in many debates on the topic on the Modern Day Debate channel. Alex Stein was also offered a free trip to Antarctica from political commentator Tim Pool, but elected not to join us. And although he did not join us, he has done the right thing in accepting the evidence and firsthand testimony we brought back of the 24-hour sun in Antarctica, and now acknowledges that flat Earth is false. Next is Robbie Davidson, who runs the very popular YouTube channel Celebrate Truth, which has over 150,000 subscribers. He is one of the OG flat earthers who has really been around since the beginning of the modern day flat earth movement. Then there is Nick Havoc. He had been a flat earther for 9 years, but is now so thankful for the final experiment, which has brought him the truth, so he no longer has to believe and defend a lie. Then there's Mellowdome, Austin Thompson, Stefan Driver, Shifty Eyes Shady, Rose 777, David Conklin. There was even an entire small flat earth group who all gave up flat earth after TFE. The list goes on and on. There are far too many to name, and there are many who have asked me to not mention their name. This exodus will continue until a flat earther can show how TFE's experiments and observations can work on a flat earth. But instead of doing this, the flat earth community as a whole is taking the position that we did not actually go to Antarctica, or that we did not see the real sun, or that there is no 24-hour sun in Antarctica, despite the fact that we all witnessed it with our own eyes. They are arguing that we were in a giant studio filled with LED screens, or that the sun was created with a giant laser pointer to fool us. And Dean Odell actually argues that Satan was behind the 24-hour sun, possibly becoming the sun itself in order to fool us. What the flat earth community is lacking, and what is continuing to fuel this major exodus, is a complete lack of any intellectual, logical, and rational responses to our trip to Antarctica and Chile. Will Nathan Thompson be able to reverse this trend? Will Nathan Thompson be able to make sense of our experiments and observations on a flat earth? because that is Nathan Thompson's specific role in this debate, to show how all of these things we observed and captured and experienced can work on a flat Earth. Here are just some of the observations and experiments we conducted for TFE in both Antarctica and Chile. First is the 24-hour sun. The sun never set the entire time we were at Union Glacier Camp, right at 80 degrees south in Antarctica. For years, the flat Earth community was adamant that there was not a 24-hour sun in the south, in Antarctica. This rejection was fueled by the fact that a 24-hour sun in Antarctica is not possible on a flat Earth. And this is because flat earthers say Antarctica is not an island continent at the bottom of a globe, but rather a massive ice wall that encircles the world's continents and holds in all the oceans. If Antarctica is this giant ice ring on the outside of our known world, the sun would have to rise and set each day, as both sides agree that the sun moves through the sky once every 24 hours for everyone on Earth. In December of 2023, this is a year before TFE, there was a debate outside Nashville, Tennessee, between Dean Odle and Greg Locke. The next day, there was a post-debate Q&A at a nearby hotel. And the room was filled with flat earthers, including Dean Odle, Flat Earth Dave, Austin Whitsitt, Joe Hanvey, and my opponent, Nathan Thompson. The first question at this event was about Antarctica and the 24-hour sun. After Dean Odle confidently stated during the debate that a 24-hour sun would mean we live on a globe, Joe Hanvey spoke up at the Q&A and said he had a friend in Antarctica at that time, and she told him there was not a 24-hour sun, and the sun rose and set each day. Shortly after this, my opponent, Nathan Thompson, was given the mic, and he said he used to run the largest flat Earth group in the world for 6 years, and it was after he asked Globers to show him the 24-hour sun in Antarctica that his group was deleted and he was censored. This resolute position by the flat Earth community that there was no 24-hour sun in Antarctica was because they knew it was not possible on a flat Earth. In addition to the 24-hour sun in Antarctica, there is also a 24-hour moon in Antarctica. This is not possible on a flat Earth for the same reason that a 24-hour sun is not possible. Up next is the South Pole. We have not released our video on the South Pole yet as part of our channel's The Final Experiments series, but we actually had someone at the South Pole at the same time as we were at Union Glacier. And there cannot be a South Pole on a flat Earth. And I'm talking about a geographic South Pole. On a flat Earth, the cardinal direction south is all directions away from the North Pole. And therefore, the south on a flat Earth gets bigger and bigger indefinitely, and lines of longitude would get further and further apart. This means they would never converge into a single point in the south like we see in the north with the North Pole. Up next is the South Celestial Pole. We both observed and filmed the South Celestial Pole while in Punta Arenas, Chile. A celestial pole is a point in the sky that the stars appear to rotate around in a circle as they move through the night sky. For the same reason you can't have a South Pole on a flat Earth, you cannot have a South Celestial Pole in the sky over a flat Earth. And it's worth noting that the 24-hour sun, the 24-hour moon, and the South Celestial Pole all move in the opposite direction that we observe them in the north. Also impossible on a flat Earth. And finally, we have southern flights. Flights far south on a flat Earth, for example, south of the Tropic of Capricorn, would require completely different flight paths that are actually experienced by passengers on these flights. They would also be of much longer flight lengths than flights in the north. As we already mentioned, a flat Earth pushes south to the outside, and distances on a flat Earth get further and further apart the further south you go. YouTuber Critical Think, a Glober who was with us for the final experiment, flew home from Santiago, Chile to Sydney, Australia, nonstop after our trip to Antarctica. And he filmed the entire flight, and it was just over 13 and a half hours. Not only that, but his entire flight from Santiago, Chile to Sydney, Australia was over ocean. After leaving South America, the flight flew over no major land masses, including flying completely south of New Zealand before landing in Australia. This flight is just not possible on a flat Earth. Thank you.
Okay, guys, so basically what we've got right now is that Will started off this debate really laser focused on the topic of the debate. And that is the reason that I really like this so much. He basically set the stage for this debate. He said what he was going to do, he said what Nathan had to do, and he stated the fact that they both agreed on this in advance and that he wasn't going to discuss anything else. And then he literally laid out his evidence, the South Pole, the South Celestial Pole, the flights in the Southern Hemisphere, the 24-hour sun, the 24-hour moon. Nathan, I don't think, was listening to any of this because even though he agreed in advance that he was going to specifically address the findings of the final experiment, let's go see what he does.
Thanks so much for moderating, James. Congratulations on the channel, just exploding. I remember when you had 20,000 subscribers back in the day, so it's nice to see you doing well. On top of that, Will, I really sincerely appreciate your stunt that you pulled there in Antarctica, because since then, I have multiple social media platforms doing over 1 million views a month, because I've been talking about flat Earth for 10 years, dude. It's my bread and butter. I eat, sleep, and breathe flat Earth, guys. I've done over 200 meetups. I used to run the official Flat Earth and Globe discussion before it was censored. We had 155,000 members in there. We didn't allow cursing. We didn't allow insults. We just got down to business, answering questions. So if you guys have questions, ask them in the super chat. We'll get to them at the end. Please share the show. Really appreciate that. But yeah, thanks, Will, for your stunt. Just Flat Earth is absolutely exploding on my social media platforms now. Thanks to you. Really appreciate it. So Will's opening was lots of talking, not a lot of proof seized. I would have liked to see more proof of the globe, or that the final experiment ended flat Earth, but all we got was talkie. You'll see a difference with my presentation. I'm going to actually pull up images and show evidence to support my claims that his stunt didn't debunk the flat Earth. Now, Romans 8:28 says, all things work towards good for those that love the Creator and are called according to his purpose. I've been featured in hit pieces where Globers try and prove the globe, and it always backfires on them, because all they do is make flat Earth more popular, and it's true. So when it comes to flat Earth, any publicity is good publicity. I learned about biblical cosmology from a guy named Michael Lavery, who was my brain coach for 10 years. We were studying applied neuroscience, steroidogenesis, neuroplasticity. And one day he says, Nate, you ever look into flat Earth? And I just about dropped the phone after he told me he spent 7 months looking into it. I thought he was going to say, oh, I heard about it Tuesday. So the smartest guy I know, been looking into it 7 months. I didn't sleep for 3 days. Then I went and got a camera. The camera I got was a Nikon P900. That's this camera right here. But this camera has been converted to infrared. It's what the military uses to see super far. Then we upgraded to the P1000, which is 125 times zoom. Technology has far surpassed the globe lies and the globe religion. So I spent about a week on the beach debunking the globe. Then I started the official Flat Earth and Globe discussion. I've been doing meetups ever since. A couple months ago, someone called me and says, Nate, I got an RV. Do you want to go around doing interviews, gathering products for a website, doing meetups like you've been doing? And so now I'm in an RV with Geo, and we've got all sorts of stuff from the community, like Flat Earth Gleason map blankets, some coffee here from Paraplegic. If you don't have the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac clock app, download that. The referral code is NEO. And you can get tinfoil hats at bonafidetruth.com. And if you need to find any of my social media links, bonafidetruth.com/Nathan. Now,
okay, so let's go ahead and look at Nathan's opening statement. This is our first impression of him. He basically just patted himself on the back and talked about how great he was. And then he tried to sell us a few things. Really nothing. But I have high hopes for Nathan. Let's see if he will actually address Will's claims and findings from the final experiment. Anybody think that he's going to address them? 1 in the chat if yes, 2 in the chat if no. And in the meantime, how's everybody doing today? It's actually, we might actually have some clear skies tonight. I may try and hit the telescope. So let's go ahead and see how Nathan addresses Will's evidence from the final experiment. I don't think this chart came up in Will's presentation at all. I don't think 1-point linear perspective came up in his presentation. Perhaps he'll come here and actually address Will's evidence. Oh, the Chicago skyline, perfectly normal on a globe. What's this have to do with Antarctica or the final experiment? Lighthouses. Mount San Jacinto, one of my first videos. Canagoo. Earth curve calculator. Lasers. Boats on a P900.
Sure.
I don't think he said a single thing in reference to anything that Will brought up. Anything. Not a single thing. So let's go see Will's response to this. Remember, Will is not going to allow Nathan to talk about the globe in any way, shape, or form. They are there to discuss the findings of the final experiment, and Nathan's job is to argue that these findings can occur on a flat Earth. Let's go see how they do.
Hey, Nathan, you just false in your opening statement. I'd like you to correct it. You said once you go flat, you never globe back. Would you please correct that right now?
No, yeah, when you go flat, as far as like testing the Earth yourself, I know you might have some flipper floppers that haven't tested the Earth themselves for 10 years like I have. But once you do that, there's no way you're going to go back to believing you're on a cartoon ball because strangers went to Antarctica and looked at the sky.
Hey, Nathan, I know you're personal friends with Jaron and Robbie, and I really don't think you should do this to them right now. Were they true flat earthers? Because they're not anymore.
I don't care what some dude thinks about the shape of the Earth.
Hey,
do
Nathan,
you have any evidence for your globe religion, bro?
Nathan,
like,
you made a false statement. You said once you go flat, you never globe back. That's false. Your own friends, Jaron and Robbie, are no longer flat. Will you please correct your false statement right now?
All right. So are we going to move on to the evidence that the Earth's a globe or not?
You're off topic, Nathan. That's not what this debate is.
Off topic. We're not here to talk about what people think the Earth is.
Okay, so you won't even correct your mistake. That's really sad. Okay, so Nathan, let's start with an easy one. Were you aware that while we were in Antarctica, we live streamed?
Yes, I was aware there were live streams being done.
How did we live stream from Antarctica on a flat Earth? Please explain that on a flat Earth.
So you can only live stream on a globe?
How did we live stream on a flat Earth, Nathan? This is your job in this debate is to argue how what we did and what we observed is possible on a flat Earth. How did we live stream on a flat Earth? Please tell me.
Okay, you had 6 arguments. None of the
Nathan,
live streaming was one of the 6 arguments. So if you could stick with your arguments that
Nathan,
ended flat Earth instead of just
Nathan,
can you chill out?
This is part of the final experiment. How did we live stream in Antarctica? Please answer.
Okay, live streaming from Antarctica wasn't one of your 6 arguments. You talked about a 24-hour sun, a 24-hour moon, a celestial South Pole, airplane flights in the South. If you want to stick with your arguments, I can talk about how those are affirming the consequent fallacies and red herring fallacies. But how you live stream from Antarctica, the same way I'm live streaming right now. We have internet. It's 2025, bud.
How did we get internet in Antarctica, Nathan?
The same way I'm getting the internet right now on a flat Earth, bro.
How?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
How did we have internet in Antarctica?
Now you see how Nathan's trying to divert attention from this very simple question and how he's trying to bring up logical fallacies and everything else. It's a simple question, Nathan. They had internet in Antarctica. How did they get it? There's no undersea cables. It's not line of sight to South America. How did they get that internet? Now, the answer, of course, is that Will brought a Starlink system down there, and it was satellite internet. And that's what Will is getting at right now. And that is why Nathan is refusing to answer it, because he knows that's how they got their internet service.
So, James, he's asked the question like 5 times. I wasn't there. I don't know how he got internet in Antarctica. That wasn't one of his 6 claims for proof.
Okay, so Nathan, you know that the flat Earth position is that internet comes through undersea cables. Is that your position?
No, definitely not. It comes through a multitude of ways. It's a collective ensemble of things going on. You've got undersea fiber optic submarine communication cables. You've got towers. They normally put them on mountains, and the microwave towers have a Fresnel zone. And that Fresnel zone has to account for obstruction like trees and buildings. But one of the most famous videos I had on my old YouTube channel before it was erased by your government overlords was a microwave engineer talking about how he doesn't account for curvature, sending microwave signals over long distances. So,
okay, so we were at 80 degrees south, so there's no undersea cables, and there were no towers. There's no cell service in Antarctica. So, do you have any idea how we could have got internet?
Yeah, they might have bounced it off the dome, bro. I don't know. I wasn't there. Is that all you got?
Okay, so that's the easy one. Now we'll get to the hard stuff. There is a South Pole. I'm sure you've seen people take a picture at the South Pole, right?
I haven't been there. Have you been there?
Have you seen people take a picture at the South Pole, Nathan?
I haven't been there.
Have you seen people take a picture of themselves standing at the South Pole, yes or no?
Going to an icy wasteland and calling a place the South Pole and then taking a picture there doesn't prove you're on a cartoon spinning tilted ball, Will. So,
okay,
what's your next
so
one?
Nathan, I need you to do me a favor.
This is too easy. Let's go. Chop, chop. Next one.
I need you to do me a favor. I need you to tell me where on a flat Earth the South Pole is, where they're taking their picture with that pole. Where is it on here?
Now, this is a great move by Will. Will is ignoring the childish behavior of Nathan Thompson and keeping him laser focused on his question. Specifically, here is a map. Where do I put the pin to tell me where that South Pole is? I need to know precisely where it is. I can't fly to it if I don't know where it is. I can't take a ship or walk there if I don't know where it is. Nathan, tell me where that pole is.
Okay, see, what you do is you just go to a spot on the flat Earth that's a deserted, icy wasteland, and then you call it the South Pole, and then you get gullible Globers to go there and take a picture in front of the sign that says, this is your globular South Pole, and then you pretend that that's how it works on a globe.
Okay, so Nathan, that pole that they're taking a picture with, where is that on this map?
I don't know. I haven't been there.
You have no idea where it is?
No, I don't know. I haven't been there.
Okay, so I'm afraid you're not very well researched then, because the South Pole in Antarctica is one of the main differences between flat Earth and globe, and you have no idea. So if you wanted to get to the South Pole, you have no idea how you'd get there?
No, I've never been there. So did you go there?
I've not been there either.
You haven't been there. I haven't been there.
But guess what, Nathan? Guess what, Nathan? We're not going to say that a place doesn't exist if we haven't been there, right? Have you been to the dome?
Touche, Will. Well done. That's a chef's kiss of a response. You've cornered him. Now let's see how he gets out of it.
No, I haven't been to the dome.
Okay, perfect. So don't use an argument with me that you wouldn't use for yourself, okay? There is a pole, Nathan, that people can go to. Guess what? They fly there and they take their picture with it. I want to know where that is on a flat Earth. Can you reconcile a South Pole with a flat Earth, yes or no?
Yes, I just detailed how you go to a specific icy wasteland, you put up a sign for gullible globers that says, this is your globular South Pole that you're upside down on. And then you take a picture because you're a gullible glober and you think that proves the shape of the floor. That doesn't prove the shape of the floor. Well, you're gonna need better proofs than this, bro. No one's buying this, bro.
Hey, Nathan, you're off topic again. I'm not here to prove the globe. We're here to see if the final experiment observations and experiments work on a flat Earth, and you're not showing how they work.
You
So,
didn't even go to the South Pole.
hey, Nathan. Hey, Nathan, we had someone at the South Pole, and you have no idea where that is.
Yeah,
And
it's an icy wasteland. They put up a sign that says, this is your globular South Pole, and then gullible globers took a picture there, Will. Is this all you got?
is there anything else there, or is it just a pole?
I don't know. I haven't been there, Will.
Okay, so you haven't done research. Okay, so Nathan, guess what? There is a station there. It's called the Amundsen Scott South Pole Station. It's massive.
You say so. Without ever being there, that's cool.
So story. Nathan, you're gonna have a very hard time defending flat Earth if you can't even show where this location is that people visit, that my friend visited, and took information for us from the South Pole. So we're going to go ahead and move on because you have failed at reconciling a South Pole with a flat Earth. All right, next we're going to talk about the South Celestial Pole. Are you familiar with what a celestial pole is?
Yeah, are you familiar with what a red herring is?
Okay, so
basically Nathan was crushed on the location of the South Pole. Even if there is a manufactured South Pole on some deserted island somewhere, you should be able to tell me where that island is. This is the old argument on the moon landings. If you want to claim that Armstrong and Collins and Aldrin were not on the moon in July of 1969, you have to prove to me where they were. You have to demonstrate that they were somewhere on Earth. And if you can't tell me where that is, okay, you're just saying nuh-uh. So we're going to move on now to the South Celestial Pole. Let's go ahead and have a listen to this.
You're familiar with what a celestial pole is. Can you please explain how there's a South Celestial Pole on a flat Earth where the stars go in the opposite direction than they do in the north?
Yeah, no problem. James, can I get the big screen, please?
Crystal clear.
You go to Google, right? You go to Google and you type in red herring fallacy. A red herring fallacy is a logical fallacy that occurs when someone distracts from the main topic of the argument by introducing an irrelevant topic. So
okay, so let's clear up something for Nathan here. A red herring fallacy. A red herring fallacy is that Will is wrong because he's a Republican. All right. Being a Republican or a Democrat or a Libertarian or a young Earth creationist has absolutely no bearing whatsoever on the findings of the South Celestial Pole, which clearly demonstrates a spherical Earth and a rotation of Earth and is impossible on a flat Earth, which is the entire point of this debate. So Nathan having this logical fallacy Tourette's, which seems to be a problem with Nathan's, it seems, really doesn't help his argument. And the other thing that you have to consider is that no scientific argument has ever been disproven by claiming it was a logical fallacy. The only way you disprove a scientific argument is you get better science and your evidence refutes the claim. So what we're waiting for here with Nathan is actual evidence to refute Will's findings on his final experiment in Antarctica. So let's go ahead and continue.
What's the topic of the debate? What's the topic of the debate?
You're in it. I'm still talking, bro. Can you chill with your Tourette's?
You need to tell me what the topic of the debate is before you can establish that I'm going off topic. What is the topic?
You're talking about, the topic is, did the final experiment end flat Earth, which has to do with the ground, and you're talking about a celestial South Pole.
Part of the final experiment was documenting the South Celestial Pole. The South Celestial Pole is not possible on a flat Earth. Your job is to show how it is. Can you do it? Yes or no?
Yeah, what'd you document? Let's see it.
You haven't seen the videos that we have of the South Celestial Pole?
No, I haven't seen them. You haven't shown anything either, bro. Are you going to show anything?
Sure.
Now, this is a classic delay tactic from the flat Earth. You'll see this in flat Earth debates all the time, as if you don't have a specific piece of evidence they want to see, in this case, video evidence of the South Celestial Pole, right in your hip pocket, and can pull it out right then, they will simply dismiss it. Unfortunately, Will came prepared. He actually has this evidence. Furthermore, Will sent a list of all of his material to Nathan prior to the debate. Nathan had all of this. He had an opportunity to look at it. Whether he chose not to look at it or did look at it but wants to make Will pull it out right now as a delay tactic, I'll leave that up to you guys.
Will it change your mind?
Yeah, well, it depends on what I see.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Take your time. We're going to get shown something. Finally get some showtime, bro. Oh my God, the story time. Ears are going to start bleeding.
I am a little surprised that you're taking this position that there is no South Celestial Pole, or that I need to show it to you first, but that's okay.
You said you documented it. I'd like to see what you documented. That way I can detail how this is a red herring, has nothing to do with the shape of the floor.
That's not the topic of the debate, Nathan.
Yeah, you thought your final non-experiment ended flat Earth, which is the shape of the floor, Will.
There you go, South Celestial Pole. Those stars are rotating in the opposite direction of the north.
You took that in Antarctica?
Robert Schwartz did.
Okay, cool. No problem. Thanks for showing me. Now I'd forget. Can I get the big screen again? Am I still in it?
Can you reconcile the South Celestial Pole with the flat Earth? Yes or no?
A logical fallacy that occurs when someone distracts from the main topic of an argument by introducing an irrelevant topic. Now, the stars have nothing to do with the shape of the floor. Even Einstein has something called a kinematic equivalence. The Ptolemaic model explained the movement of everything in the sky for 1400 years and was unchanged for 1400 years. Now I'd like to stop sharing my screen and show you my watch.
You know, let's talk about that real quick. One of the things that came up the other day was religion and the flat Earth. St. Augustine in 400 AD was asked, what about the shape of the earth? And he made it very clear. In the scriptures, there is no preferred shape of the earth. Since there is no preferred shape of the earth in the Bible, that means that a belief in a particular shape of the earth is not required for salvation. Therefore, his recommendation was, go with what the philosophers and the scientists say. They're the ones that are measuring the shape of the earth. It's foolish of Christians to simply say, nah-uh. I guess that was kind of lost on Nathan. Now, as far as actual debate between different systems, the only debate that came out was the Ptolemaic geocentric solar system versus the heliocentric solar system. Now, here's the problem that you run into with that. They're both equally valid based on limited information. All right? You can match up observations with either of them. And that was the problem, and that was why there was debate going on into almost the 17th century. The thing that really made the difference between the two was the fact that there were some astronomy findings, such as the phases of Venus and Mercury, which suggested that those planets were between us and the sun and orbiting between us and the sun. But the main thing that really destroyed the Ptolemaic geocentric solar system was Newton, because Newton provided a specific mechanism as to why planets, small planets, would orbit around a large sun. Okay? There is no mechanism that will show you why planets are on multiple crystal spheres all doing their own little thing. There is no particular reason for them to do that. Whereas with the heliocentric solar system, there is a particular reason that the planets orbit the sun, and that's gravity. But we'll go ahead and continue here. But there is no, there was no religious based debate on the shape of the Earth from about 300 or 400 BC to the present time. The only subject that was open to debate was whether the Earth was in a solar system that was geocentric versus heliocentric, and that was solved by Newton.
It's the Prague clock.
The Prague clock is simply an astrolabe.
610 years ago, which predates the gravity religion by 200 years, 1666. There's that 666 again. But they had all this mapped out for 1400 years on the Ptolemaic model, what was going on in the sky, assuming a flat Earth. You could also celestial navigate, getting angles to these stars and the sun, and then navigate the oceans, assuming a flat Earth. So this sky argument really isn't helping your globe religion, and it's a red herring. So next.
So Nathan, you should have done a little bit better homework. I even told you the topics that I was going to be covering, so you could have researched it. You could have watched our videos, but you are not explaining how the South Celestial Pole can exist on a flat Earth. We observed it. It's a natural phenomenon, so we know it exists. So the real question is, can you reconcile what we observed with our own eyes, what we filmed, with a flat Earth, yes or no?
Yeah, I got this flat Earth dome I picked up from Joe Hanby, and we can actually show star trails in the north and star trails in the south, and 24-hour moons in the south, and 24-hour suns in the south, and rainbows and halos and sundogs and eclipses, and just about everything you see in the sky can be modeled right here, or at
You see how he just tossed a softball to Will? Will has been waiting for that all night long. He can barely contain himself. Benelli, I hope that's the correct way to pronounce your name. I think that K may be silent, but thank you very much for the super chat. I also got a super chat a little while ago, I believe, from Judy Bassett, and I do appreciate that. I don't think I mentioned it when it first came up, but I do appreciate everybody here. We've got over 400 viewers, 433 viewers right now. If you could, if you're not subscribed to this channel, go ahead and hit that like real quick, and then hit the subscribe button. And if you want, hit notifications. We also have the Patreon, and we also have the Telescope Fund, and those are all in the chat. There are links to that. You know, we're getting a Celestron C14 Edge HD telescope for the observatory, which will give us some amazing views of the planets and the moon. Still have a couple of $1,000 left to raise on that. I'm putting a lot of my own money into it, of course, too. But if you would like to help with that project, this is a great way to do it. Just become a Patreon of the channel. And I'm getting ready to make a new end screen for the videos that, you know, lists all the Patreons and the channel members. This is your chance to jump on that train.
least shown a physical representation of. So
yeah, I'm very familiar.
Better proof you're going to try and end flat Earth.
Hey, Nathan, I'm very familiar with Joe Hanvy's model. I actually offered him to demonstrate it on our channel, which he declined. And I've refuted his model. So when it comes to his model and the celestial poles, his south celestial pole is a reflection of the north celestial pole. But in reality, there are different stars and different constellations in the south versus the north. So it cannot be a reflection of the north. So that doesn't work. Do you have any other way of reconciling it or no?
I didn't say it's a reflection. I don't think it's a reflection. And when we project it on the top of the dome, it's not a reflection. So
So what's showing up in the south if you're only projecting stars to the top of the dome?
That's an issue with
All right,
Will's
I know you
internet
want to take 21
connection.
questions about the sky, but the
A
sky
reflection of
is a
those
red
stars.
herring.
It's not a red herring, it's on topic. So we can move on. You're failing miserably here. So what about the 24-hour moon in Antarctica? Can you explain that on a flat Earth?
Yes, of course. No problem. Can I get the big screen, James? Sweet. So if you Google affirming the consequent, it's a logical fallacy where someone assumes that because the outcome of a conditional statement is true, the condition itself must also be true, essentially reversing the logic and leading to an invalid conclusion. The fallacy of affirming the consequent occurs when a person draws a conclusion that if the consequent is true, then the antecedent must be true. So just an affirming the consequent fallacy.
So
Okay, let's take a moment and talk about this. First of all, Nathan is trying to use formal logical fallacies for deductive reasoning, and affirming the consequent is a fallacious argument when you're using deductive reasoning. Okay? If A, then B. B, then A is not true. Okay? However, there is another type of an argument that is called a modus tollens, which is what Will actually is using. If the Earth is flat, there will be no 24-hour sun in Antarctica. And you can insert any of these other things in that as well. But if the Earth is flat, these do not occur. These do occur, therefore the Earth is not flat. That is called a modus tollens argument, and that is the way science works. Science uses affirming the consequent all the time because we don't prove things in science. We find supporting evidence for things in science. So you can take something that would not be a conclusion, a logical conclusion in deductive reasoning, and use it as supporting evidence for your claim. However, the only thing science really can do conclusively is rule out other things. So using the modus tollens, we ruled out the possibility of a flat Earth, and that is what Will's argument is. And Nathan is trying to counter that and failing miserably, mostly because first, I don't think he understands the argument, and second, I don't think he had any intention of addressing any of the findings. He just wants to read off his script. So let's let him continue.
Thanks for showing that. I'm actually not doing that. So all I'm doing is presenting an observation that was made and filmed in Antarctica, and I'm asking you to show if it's possible to happen on a flat Earth. I'm not doing anything like that.
Yeah, the 24-hour sun and moon can be modeled right here with the dome.
This was, you had one job, Nathan. Joe Hanvey's model is that it's a reflection. Is that what you're saying? Are you saying the 24-hour moon in Antarctica is a reflection of a moon somewhere else?
No, you should go watch this.
Because remember, Joe Hanvey's model uses a flashlight. The moon is not like the sun, so that his model doesn't work for the moon. So can you reconcile a 24-hour moon in Antarctica on a flat Earth?
What the sky does and what's happening in the sky does not determine the shape of the floor. It's another red herring talking about the sky and pretending you ended flat Earth. Thanks for playing, Will.
Well, the reason I ended flat Earth, Nathan, is because you nor the entire flat Earth community can explain these things that I'm telling you. Like, for example, they can't explain how we got internet in Antarctica. It's very simple. We got it from satellites. So this isn't good. This isn't good.
Explanations are not proof, Will. I don't know if you know that, but you can walk down to the local tavern, find the local village idiot, and ask him anything under the sun, and he'll give you an explanation for a pint. That doesn't mean he's true. That doesn't mean he's right. Okay? Explanations are not proof. So you sitting over there asking 21 questions about the sky and saying you don't have an explanation for the sky doesn't end what the floor is, bro. You got to be.
You know, sometimes the village idiot actually joins you on the internet in a debate show. And I think Will didn't need to go down to the local tavern because the village idiot came to him.
But Nathan, but it's probably reasonable, right, for him to ask for an explanation where he's saying, "Hey, this, let's say, evidence A seems less probable on a flat Earth than a globe Earth." It's reasonable for him to ask how you would explain it, right? So I do
Yeah,
want to, if you're willing to engage in terms of trying to give an
Thanks,
explanation.
Alder. Appreciate it.
I haven't seen it. So he went and saw it. Good for him. Looking at the sky doesn't determine what the floor is, James. That's all he's got. Great, excellent. We can just move to Q&A.
No, I've got more. I've got more. It's great. I'm enjoying this thoroughly.
Oh, okay, excellent.
Okay, cool.
Great.
All
Hit me
right.
with your
So,
best one, bro.
all right, I will. I'm just going to recap for the audience. So we don't know how you can get internet in Antarctica on a flat Earth. We don't know where the South Pole is on a flat Earth. We don't know how there can be a South Celestial Pole on a flat Earth. We don't know how there can be a 24-hour moon in Antarctica on a flat Earth. Let's talk about the 24-hour sun. So Nathan, will you at least admit that you were adamant that there was no 24-hour sun in Antarctica?
I didn't know. I'd never been there.
Nathan, that was not your position. That's false. You never said, "Hey guys, I don't know if there's one or not. I haven't been there." You joined the rest of the flat Earth community in saying there isn't one. And the reason you guys were so adamant is because it doesn't work on a flat Earth.
Yeah, I would have thought that there wasn't one because every time I posted in the group for 6 years, if any, are you all right, bro?
I'm great.
Every time I posted in the group for like 6 years, if any glober can show me evidence of a 24-hour sun in the south, because there's thousands of videos of it happening in the north, that would be really great. I'd really appreciate that. And no one ever did after 6 years of me asking. So I was led to believe that it didn't happen. But if it does happen, that's cool. We can already show a physical representation above a flat Earth of how it happens. So
Okay, so
I'm going to talk about the floor at all this debate.
okay, so let's talk about the 24-hour sun. Again, Joe Hanvey's model fails big time. So were you aware that the 24-hour sun that we filmed and saw in Antarctica made a wave pattern through the sky, that it changed elevation consistently? It would go up, then down, then up, then down.
What the sun does in the sky has no relevance to what the earth is or the floor is underneath your feet. I've looked at the floor with high power zoom cameras, infrared, telescope, land surveying equipment, mirror reflection test, laser test. You don't live on a curved pear or a curved ball. So asking me 21 questions about a place I've never been and what happens in the sky there is making you look silly, Will.
Okay.
Actually, what Will is doing right now, and he's doing this for the audience, not for Nathan, he's just basically asking Nathan questions that are very relevant. And if Nathan had even a very basic understanding of things like celestial navigation or astronomy, as many people in the audience do, he would realize the significance of these questions. The fact that he doesn't is what Will is pointing out. Very nice technique, Will. Very nice.
One question, just I think some people in the chat are confused because they're trying to understand. Nathan, would you say that a 24-hour sun is a problem for the flat Earth? Like, would you say, no, actually, it's not a problem. We have this explanation. Here it is. Or would
James,
you say we don't have an explanation?
We can show a physical representation of a dome and how you can get a 24-hour sun over a flat Earth with a dome. So no, it's not a problem if he saw a 24-hour sun.
Okay, so Nathan, here's the issue. People have noticed, and I brought this up to Joe Hanvey, and a lot of people have brought it up to him, that he's not putting the camera inside the dome. He's putting the camera on the outside of the dome to get what might look like a 24-hour sun. But if you put the camera inside, you would never see it. So that's actually a false model because we were not outside of any dome. We never saw any dome. and there was no camera outside the dome. Our cameras were all in Antarctica. So his model doesn't even work. If he were to put a camera on the inside of his dome, there would be no 24-hour sun. Now, again, Nathan, did you notice in our videos that the sun made a wave pattern through the sky? Because Joe Hanvey's model doesn't do that.
What?
Now, you see how he very masterfully brought him right back to his original question? And he's going to make Nathan say something stupid again. That's the whole purpose of bringing him back to the original question, which is devastating to the flat earth and destroys this Hanvey model. But Nathan cannot bring himself to say that. So let's go see how he dodges it.
The sun does in the sky over a place I've never been has no relevance on the floor that I've tested for the last 10 years and just showed you about a dozen evidences. It's not curving in all directions. We don't have a physical geometric horizon. We see way too far. Thanks for playing, Will.
Okay, Nathan, I'm happy to move on. Let's talk about Southern flights. So Critical Think flew nonstop from Santiago, Chile to Sydney, Australia. Can you please explain how that flight is possible on a flat Earth and where the path of that flight travels?
Exactly, Cinnamon.
I don't know. I haven't taken that flight. I just test the floor, Will. That's what I do. But I do have pitch data from a 2-hour airplane flight, United Airlines flight. Here's the pitch data. If anybody needs it, send me an email, flatearthflyers@gmail.com. But the pitch data shows that the airplane flew straight and level for 2 hours. Now, if you do...
No, that's not what pitch data shows. All right. Straight and level. Okay, that means not turning left or right, nor changing your altitude up or down. That's what straight and level flight is. It has absolutely nothing to do with whether the Earth is flat or not. Your altitude over the ground has not changed, and therefore the pitch data will not change. All Nathan is doing here, despite the fact that I have put out videos on this, Wolfie's put out videos on this, probably half a dozen upper tier debunkers have put out videos on this pitch data nonsense that they've been going through. They just don't learn. They don't know what pendulous vanes do. They don't understand why they're there in the first place. So putting out this information on pitch data as if it somehow proves their point is just very quantum eraserish. In other words, you shout out a citation, hoping that nobody looks at your citation, because if they do look at your citation, it disagrees with you. And I've pointed this out with Quantum Eraser many times. I've pointed this out with people like Angel of Light and Brian's Logic. Brian's Logic actually tried to debate me once without even on how a gyrocompass works, without having any idea of how a gyrocompass works. He thought it was magnetically based. So, I mean, this is very typical of flat Earth debate tactics. Just put out absurd stuff and hope that nobody checks you. Unfortunately, people do check you, Nathan, and you don't pass.
The math for the globe religion, after 2 hours of flying straight and level, you would be 120 miles above the surface of the Earth. You could almost stop at the ISS and pick up those stranded astronauts, if this was the case, guys. But yeah, we got the pitch data. The attitude indicator only works if the plane is flying straight and level over a flat, non-rotating Earth, and the FAA trains pilots on the Target Generation Facility, which is a flat Earth simulator that negates rotation and negates a gravity vector. So airplane flights aren't doing your curve any justice.
Okay, Nathan. So you went off topic again. We're talking about a very specific flight that's part of the final experiment. You have not explained how that flight works on a flat Earth, and you actually just said something completely false. Number one, the FAA does not train pilots, so you should stop saying that. Number two.
Now, I am an instrument-rated private pilot. All right. I learned to fly up in Alaska many years ago. And I will guarantee you, my flight instructor was not an FAA employee. The FAA tests does skill testing. The FAA manages air control centers, and the towers. They don't train pilots. And that's just absolutely false. And anybody that's ever been through any flight training whatsoever knows that the FAA doesn't train you. They just test you when you're done training. Solder, thank you very much for another super chat. I do appreciate it. This stuff goes towards the Telescope Fund and support of the channel. We have gotten a couple of really cool devices lately. I now have an iPad, and I will be using that kind of as a whiteboard. I also managed to get Baron Rutledge's total station, and we're going to be doing some great observations with that come spring, including possibly reproducing the Michigan to Chicago observation of the Willis Tower from Warren Dunes. So let's go ahead and continue.
2, pilots do not train on a target generation facility. That's false. Where did you get this? It's completely wrong. Was this from
Indeed,
TikTok?
the Federal Aviation Administration assumes a flat Earth when training pilots and air traffic controllers using their target generation facility. The TGF consists of several software programs that control simulation scenarios using simulated aircraft. The TGF computer simulator drive almost all of the air traffic control laboratories of the FAA William J. Hughes Technical Center. The FAA.
Okay, what is a target generator? All right, that basically says, all right, Mr. Air Traffic Controller trainee, you have a passenger jet 260 degrees from your location at an indicated altitude of 40,000 feet. Okay, they're coming in to approach the ILS on runway 6. How are you going to direct them in? And then basically they move this blip around in the computer. And the things that are important on the blip are, what is the direction and what's the altitude? And what's going on with any other aircraft in the area that are also in the simulation. That's what they use these things for. Curvature and rotation do not come into play when you're guiding somebody in on an ILS. Now, interestingly enough, the instrument landing approaches are designed using the curvature of the Earth, because the beams that go out, for example, go in a straight direction, and the Earth curves away as you get away from the airport. So to intercept the beam, you have to take it at a certain altitude, and then you follow that beam down. Okay, once you're on the beam, you're just following the beam down. But where, what the angle of that beam is based on the type of approach and how you want to bring them in, and how far away they are indicates what altitude you intercept the beam at. So that's just utter nonsense. Brenda, thank you very much for your super chat. I do appreciate it. All this money does go towards the telescope and equipment fund for the channel. I don't take an income from any of my channels. All of it, it's basically a paid hobby for me. But I do enjoy doing it, and I really appreciate the support of the viewers of the channel as I do.
States, our lab has worked closely with the TGF group to have aircraft perform the way air traffic controllers would expect them to behave in a real, natural airspace systems. NAS.
What are you reading from?
This is from The Greatest Lie on Earth by Edward Hendry, and it has citations from the FAA website.
Okay, so number one, the FAA does not train pilots. You are incorrect there. They certify pilots. They don't train them. Number two, pilots are not trained on a target generation facility. That's for air traffic controllers. That's not for pilots. If you go find a pilot and ask him if he was trained on a target generation facility, he's going to say no, because they're not trained on a TGF. So you should just correct that going forward, because it's wrong. This is one of the issues that I found in the flat Earth community, is they don't do research with people that might disagree with them. All the flat Earth community had to do was reach out to Anthony Powell or Robert Schwartz about the 24-hour sun. but they refused to do that and took a position that there wasn't a 24-hour sun. If you just reach out to a pilot and talk to him, he will tell you what I'm telling you.
And that's absolutely correct. You know, and it's not, you know, hey, you're a dummy. It's, okay, well, this is not something that you were trained in. I was. This is not, you know, your assertion is wrong. You know, the difference between an adult scientist, and a man-child like Nathan Thompson, who's a flat earther, is when I get corrective information, I act on it. I put out a video a little while ago that had some incorrect information in it. My viewers stepped up, told me where I was wrong. I researched it more myself, found out they were correct. I took the video down. All right. I took corrective action based on new information. Nathan Thompson and a flat earther will never do that. They are too invested in this fantasy flat earth that they have to ever admit that there could possibly be any evidence to the contrary. You know, how do they argue against weather and spy satellites of the Earth? Well, they're taken from satellites, right? Okay, well, space is a second law of thermodynamic violation. Therefore, space doesn't exist. Therefore, by definition, these have to be fake. That's their actual argument. And the fun thing about it is they don't even know what the second law of thermodynamics is, because they don't take into account added energy, for example, or other forces. The reason that the atmosphere of the Earth doesn't dissipate into space is there's a force opposing it. That's called gravity. But in any event, we diverge a little bit. Will's going to hold up his little globe thing for me. So let's go ahead and continue.
Okay, so just whatever a pilot says, we'll just believe that. Excellent.
Okay, so back to the topic of the debate. Can you please explain how a nonstop flight from Santiago, Chile to Sydney, Australia is possible on a flat Earth?
Yeah, of course. If you look at the pitch data, which I'll put back on screen, I don't know, maybe you weren't paying attention. The pitch data shows that they fly straight and level the entire duration of the flight. They also have an attitude indicator.
Okay, once again, Will's point is not the pitch data. All right, Nathan is misrepresenting what the pitch data says. However, Will's point was that it went from Santiago to Sydney and was completely over the ocean. On a flat Earth map, you would be going over land. The fact that they were over the ocean the entire time, based on the distance and the time of the flight, completely rules out the possibility of flat Earth. Now, I did this on my channel not long ago, and that was I looked at submarine cables between Australia and New Zealand. Those cables have a known length. They have a measured length that is testable and is tested on a regular basis. The way they measured, well, first of all, somebody had to buy the cable, and they ordered X number of kilometers of cable. There's no more. All right. The second thing is you ping them, and the time it takes for the latency to get the return ping tells you how long the cable is. So the fact that those cable lengths are incompatible with the distance required on a flat Earth and are exactly what is required on a globe Earth of radius 6,371 kilometers is very, very strong data for the globe Earth. However, it conclusively rules out the flat Earth. The cable simply is not long enough. That's the problem that Nathan is running into with this flight and what Will is bringing up. You can't make this flight on a flat Earth. It only works on a globe.
Gyroscope inside. The reason they use a gyroscope
is to stabilize the instrument, not hold rigidity in space.
Once you spin that thing up, it stays on that plane of rotation. And so if we were flying around a globe, which is a cartoon, by the way, guys, the orientation of the gimbal base would change with respect to the gyroscope. So, and we got the pitch data too, bro. So thanks for playing.
So I'm talking about a very specific flight here.
Sorry to hear that, Harley.
You don't have any data for the flight. So you just asked me a question. I gave you the answer. If you don't like the answer, run home to mom, bro. I don't know what to tell you.
Would you like the data for the flight?
Does it show that we live on a cartoon globe?
Would you like the data for the flight?
If it shows we live on a cartoon globe, then I would love to see it.
Okay, so Nathan, the reason this flight doesn't work on a flat Earth is because it's so far south. It begins and ends south of the Tropic of Capricorn. As I mentioned, a flat Earth pushes the south out indefinitely, so distances get far. This flight is impossible on a flat Earth because of distance, and the time that this flight happens, which is about 13 and a half hours, is also impossible on a flat Earth. So can you reconcile that flight with a flat Earth?
Yeah, of course. There's no curve. You're talking about the sky again, bud. It's a red herring. Are we going to talk about the floor at all this debate, Will, or not?
Okay, so I gave you a list of the things that I was going to be presenting that I don't think you can reconcile with a flat Earth. You have not attempted to reconcile them with a flat Earth. I am completely content to go to Q&A at this point.
Excellent. If I could do closing arguments, James?
We hadn't talked about closings, but if you guys mutually agree, I'm open to having closings. Maybe
Totally
something like
fine.
maybe something like 3 or 5 minutes.
Now, unfortunately, this is one of those things you got to be careful what you ask for, Nathan. All right. You failed this debate abysmally. And now you just want to put the frosting on that failure? We've got about 6 more minutes of this. I know the debate continued on for another 2 hours, but that was mostly Q&A stuff. I did do a little bit of the Q&A stuff, but really not much. If you want to go see it, it's over on Modern Day Debate. You can watch the whole 2.5 hours. I took about 40 minutes out just basically to get the arguments and the back and forth between Will and Nathan, because I wanted to demonstrate how to properly handle a flat earther in a debate. And Will did a masterful job of this.
Yeah,
whatever is great with me.
You got it.
All right, he
Go
was
ahead,
first in
Nathan.
the opening. I'll go first in the closing.
Great.
So again, all of his arguments had to do with the sky. And he thinks looking at the sky is going to prove what the floor is. Now, I've looked at the floor for 10 years. I've used every piece of optical technology you can find, get your hands on, to look at the floor. The floor isn't curving. The Bible says test all things and hold fast to that which is true. I've done that with the floor. So asking me about a 24-hour sun in a place I've never been isn't going to convince me what the floor is. I've tested the floor. Asking me about a 24-hour moon in a place I've never been isn't going to convince me what the floor is. That's again the sky. Asking me about a South Pole that you've never been to doesn't convince me that the Earth is curving in all directions. It doesn't end flat Earth. Thanks for playing. Asking me about a southern celestial pole is a red herring argument. You're not even on topic anymore. You're not even talking about the floor. You're off in La La Land trying to Jedi mind trick gullible flat earthers that will listen to what you're saying. I'm not a gullible flat earther, okay? I was looking forward to some evidence. You didn't have any evidence. You had a lot of talking points, a lot of story time. I put up 12 images or so that debunk the cartoon globe religion. Anyone can go test it themselves. And thanks for playing well. I really appreciate your time, and thanks for all the work you did making my YouTube views and my Instagram views and my Facebook views explode through the roof. Keep up the good work, bud. Cheers.
We'll kick it to Will for his closing as well.
Okay, great. So I actually, just so everyone knows, I sent Nathan the list of what I would be talking about so that he knew exactly what I'd be presenting. He would have an opportunity to watch the videos on the TFE channel and know exactly the arguments I would be presenting. As I predicted, which is why I made this, he would not be able to reconcile the observations and experiments we did in Antarctica and Chile with a flat Earth. Now, this is why there is a major exodus right now. I haven't even gone public yet that have contacted me and will go public soon, is because there are no answers to this. And so real truthers are going to look at the evidence and they're going to see the truth and the reality of what we saw. And they're going to see that it simply doesn't work on a flat Earth. And those of and the truthers that are willing to look at it and see the truth of the matter are going to leave flat Earth, like Jaron, like Alex Stein, like Robbie Davidson, and so many others. And so this discussion tonight is a perfect example of how certain people will react when they don't like new evidence that's presented to them that contradicts a belief that they have. And so that's kind of where things stand. And I'm really glad that we did this. And I just hope that people will be able to see that the flat Earth community does not have answers for what we brought back. And so I think that the final experiment has definitely ended flat Earth. Thank you.
Kango 44.
You know, for those of us that live in houses, not RVs, I happen to have an office right here that I'm in, and surprisingly, the walls are 90 degrees to the floor. And the walls are also 90 degrees to the ceiling. That means that my ceiling is the same size as my floor. That's math, okay? So yes, you can actually tell things about the floor by looking at the ceiling. Not to mention the fact we navigate using stars. We tell time using the sun. You know, we tell the day of the month by using the moon. These are all things that, all this stuff came from the sky. I don't think Nathan understands that. Now, there were a couple of other things that I noticed, people commenting on in the chat, and that is that no, Nathan's not really paying attention to any of this. I think he maybe looked at a couple of things and made some notes, but he was looking at his phone, he was taking drinks, he was making funny things with his hands, he was making funny looks. I don't know what he's really looking for right here. He's got the hat on and the hoodie, a hat or a hoodie. I would think one or the other. But, he's just kind of like peering out like a turtle. And that's just when he looked at the screen at all. It really, it's not the way that I would debate somebody. I'd at least pay attention to what they were talking about. Maybe make some notes and then make some on-point comments. But we'll see. We just have a couple more minutes here. I'll go ahead and finish this up probably in about 5 or 10 minutes. Anybody have anything that they want to ask in the chat, go ahead and hit an @Bob the Science Guy so I see it. And we'll see what we have. Technically, I think our live stream went pretty well today. If anybody had any issues with the sound or anything else, I did notice that Will's internet connection to the original modern day debate was off a little bit, so that was on his side. It's not on mine.
Says Nathan, was it hard that this time you couldn't just do your script like usual?
I don't. I did my keynote speech, the same one I pull up every single time. So I guess he's wrong. You've been debunked.
You're
Thanks for
saying
playing.
no. You're saying no. I did do my script this time. Okay. J-Bo
Yeah, I got
says
my script.
they say Nathan, this was hard to watch. Prepare better next time. Booba Sweat strikes again. Says Nathan, if you're willing to parrot, wits it. You need more word salad. Ooh. This one from Rossinate says, if I actually examine what would be visible on my flat Earth versus what actually is visible, that might cause me to doubt. So I refuse. Nathan, I think they're saying this is you.
Yeah, I know. Like, a lot of coping globers in the super chats.
King044 says, Nathan, we don't need to go find the village. Okay, we got that. Only joined to troll. Thanks for your question. Says, holy smokes, Nathan. Never debate anyone ever again. You lack any, I have to read some of them. You lack any conversational skills whatsoever and don't deserve to be on this platform. Terrible attempt. This one from Matt says, oh gosh, Nathan, you got ruined by Mark Reed and now by Will. When will you stop debating? Because you obviously aren't good. Oh, geez. You have to make it personal. Okay. Mr. E Man says, has Nathan ever observed New Zealand from where he is, though? I think they're saying, Nathan, you talked about New Zealand at some point in the debate. and they're saying, well, hey, you kept saying like, oh, I've never been to Antarctica, so I can't really answer questions about it until I've been there. And they're saying, but wait a minute, you talked about New Zealand, and have you ever been there before?
No, I haven't been to New Zealand, James.
Why do you keep turning your camera off? What are you doing over there? This one from, I don't want to know. Zoomer Ray says, Nathan, do you believe in celestial navigation? Because that debunks your statement of what is measured in the sky.
Believe in celestial navigation? No, celestial navigation happens on a flat earth because they use triangles to triangulate using the sky, assuming a flat earth.
Actually, celestial navigation, and right here, there's my sextant, which I use on a regular basis. It's right here next to the desk. You don't use triangles for that. You use angles, which consists of two lines with an angle between them. We don't use triangles. We do use something called trilateration to tell the distance to the geographic position of a star based on our angle to the star. So, for example, if the star is 90 degrees over a particular point on the Earth, if I look at that star and it's at 60 degrees, all right, I know that I'm 30 degrees away from it. And 30 degrees times 60 nautical miles, I'm 1,800 miles away from that geographic position. And if I draw a circle of radius 1,800 miles around that geographic position, I'm somewhere on that circle. I do that with two other stars, and I have my position. That's the way celestial navigation actually works. If these guys ever bothered taking a course in it, as I have, or got a sextant and went out and learned how to use it, as I have, they could actually find their position using this globe Earth math to within a couple of kilometers, as I have. So, the year of the sextant was a couple of years ago. It didn't work out well for you Flerfs, so I wouldn't continue to harp on it.
It works on a flat earth. Thanks for playing.
I knew I was going to do it once. I missed my mute. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and give a couple more minutes here in case anybody has any channel or any questions to put in the comments out there. Yeah, I know I was off. I had the mute still on. Sorry about that. I knew I was going to do that once. Now, we did have over 500 viewers on this live stream, which is probably a record for me. I hope some of you hit the subscribe and maybe even consider becoming Patreons or sending something in on the PayPal to support the Telescope Fund. If you haven't, the fact that you were here is support enough for me. I do appreciate it. Yeah. No, I think I only did that once this entire stream. I thought I had hit it. Apparently I hadn't. So my mistake. Sorry about that. I'm not perfect. I never claimed to be. But I did think it was a pretty good live stream. I think technically it went over pretty well. And, the video quality was decent. The sound quality was okay. My commentary was, well, my commentary. Take it as it is. So do we have anything up here? Let's go see. I don't see anything. I don't see anybody hitting anything on there. 3 Ron, I do appreciate the $2, and yes, indeed, hit that like button. Get these on out. If we do this, if people like this sort of format, I'll do this probably once a week. I'm kind of busy with school and I'm kind of busy with this new tutoring job. but I will be trying to get out here and do this on a regular basis. I still have some videos I want to make for the channel. I'm in midterms right now, and it's just kind of being a pain in the ass. And I don't have a whole heck of a lot of time. I do appreciate everything that you guys do for me. And I appreciate your support of the channel and support of the projects that I do here. You know, a lot of this stuff, a lot of people are very fortunate to be able to have hobbies and do citizen science and things like that. It's very expensive though, and I'll tell you something, the fact that everybody on this channel really makes a big effort to show up at the live streams, watch the videos, and even send in, you know, some PayPals or Patreons or Super Chats once in a while, makes a big difference for that. As I said, everything goes towards that. Bew, thank you very much, $50. Now that is a Super Chat, my friend. And I got a little amazing thing here too. I like that. There we go. That's amazing. Thank you very much, Boo. I do appreciate that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make a note right here. That was such a nice donation. I'm going to sit down and put a special little point when I remake my my thank you trailer. I'm going to stick you on it for this month, just because that was awful nice of you. See if I can get this pen working again. I think I ran out of ink, believe it or not, but I got it. And Armageddonus, I do like that too. Thank you again. But I'll put that down and we'll get that done. Here we go. I got one now. Just made a quick note for that, and I'm going to put that on up. All right, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe before we leave, and I'm going to go ahead and shut this down, and we're going to get going. I almost hate to do it. We still have 400 people out there, but you know, one of the things I really want to do is, you know, we're gonna do live streams, and we're gonna get through them. I'm not one of these people to do a 12-hour live stream like some of these Flerfs that are just trolling for donations. If you want to support the channel, well, the Patreon's there, the memberships are there. That would be very nice. I don't need to just go ahead and continue to do continuous live streams and e-beg. Otis is downstairs asleep. A little piece of turd. Had a mouse in the closet today, and he went over, looked at it, went back to sleep. What a freaking useless cat. He was the great orange hunter, I thought. All right, we'll be back in about a week. I'll probably do another one here on either Saturday or Sunday. I'll announce it the morning of the live stream or the night before, and that way there you won't be surprised by it. Thank you again for your support of the channel, and I'll see you